The summer travel season is almost upon us.
A new report by American Express shows 76% of families plan to travel more this year, and 70% plan to take their first international trip since the pandemic.
CBS News senior travel advisor Peter Greenberg joins us with some summer travel advice, this time from Maui.
Lucky duck.
Aloha, Peter.
Yeah, aloha to you.
What is the status of tourism in Hawaii? I know they were pretty strict for a while.
They were the most restricted state in America. They were on serious lockdown since almost the beginning of the pandemic. You had to do multiple tests, quarantines, masks, you name it, wear wristbands. There were quarantine periods that exceeded 2 weeks at some point. Guess what? That's all gone now. As of March 26th, the mask is not even being required. The state is completely wide open now. So that's the good news. The tough news for travelers is it's not a secret that the state is open and lots of people are coming. Every flight is full, and that's now reflected in the rise in airfares and hotel room rates. So if you want to come, you better book now because it's really getting crazy, not to mention rental cars as well.
Airlines continue to be understaffed. At the same time, the travel demand is soaring. That's a bad combination. And as you mentioned, airfares are very high. So what do travelers need to know?
Well, we're dealing with a ridiculous and inverse relationship right now. You got soaring demand, but at the same time, the airlines are realizing they can't support their schedules. They don't have enough staff to do it. They're cutting flights. JetBlue this week cut 27 routes for this summer. United Airlines, 20,000 flights a month. Southwest cut 10% of their schedule. That's 14,000 flights. So what that means is if you're going to be flying this summer, try to get the very first flight of the day and then try to determine, is that particular plane that you're about to get on, did it overnight at the airport the night before? That's where you have a reasonably good chance you'll have a crew for your flight. And then every time you wait, for every hour of the day that goes by, you increase your odds for either a delay or a full-fledged cancellation.
You mentioned rental cars and rates are soaring. One particular model is nearly impossible to find. Which is it and what's going on?
Well, when I tell you, it's going to make all the sense in the world. It's hybrid because of gas prices. People want to rent cars that are more fuel efficient. But it's crazier than that right now. There are 3 things you need to know before you ever leave the car and the rental car lot. Number 1, get out your cell phone, walk around the car, take time-coded pictures of every ding and dent and scratch on that car. On the exterior of the car, do the same thing on the interior. Then go back to the rental car counter and make sure that the rental car agent notes that on the agreement so that when you return the car, you're not dinged with up to $4,000 in repair fees for things you didn't do. That's number 1. Number 2, you better read the contract carefully because the days of unlimited mileage may be gone. They may be putting 100-mile caps per day on your car, and when you exceed that 100-mile cap, the per-mile charges are excessive. And then number 3, and I have to caution you, this is the most absurd one of all, but people need to listen. Before you leave the rental car counter, ask them to confirm to you that your car has not been reported stolen. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, there's been such a scarcity of rental cars, and when people did rent them, they sometimes say, okay, even though the contract said for a week, I'll take it for 2 weeks. When they took it for that second week, the rental car company, in many cases, reported the car is stolen. Then they returned the car, paid the bill. But the rental car company didn't tell the authorities that the car wasn't stolen. Now, you go to rent the car, guess what? You get pulled over, you're behind bars. So make sure you get that confirmation before you leave the counter. It is a growing problem that your car has not been reported stolen.
Very quickly, should you buy the extra insurance or is it on your credit card?
Well, I can't even give you a quick answer except to say this. If you have an automobile policy already, you're probably already covered. Now, the credit card policy only covers, in many cases, secondary insurance, and that only kicks in if you exhaust the limits of your first primary coverage that you supposedly have. But if you don't have car insurance already and you just use your credit card, you may not be covered.
All right. Nothing simple when it comes to rental
Not
cars.
anymore.
Well, Peter, enjoy. I know you're working, but enjoy Hawaii.
Great to see you, Peter.
Bye, guys.